Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tech Tuesday with Out of the Box. We thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Unlocking Efficiency and Control with Intuit's new Intuit Enterprise Suite, presented by Out of the Box in partnership with Intuit. Today's presenter is Matt Bright, Senior Product Specialist at Intuit. Matt has more than 20 years of experience at Intuit, working in the partner channel. With 7 years as a sales engineer and former channel marketing manager, Matt's expertise is unrivaled, so we encourage you to engage him with any questions you may have as we go forward. As for me, my name is Jeanette Rattan. That's my picture there. I apologize. I'm off camera today. I'm really not feeling well, but I will be your moderator for the day. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. This session is being recorded, so you don't have to give yourself carpal tunnel taking all of the notes. The recording will be shared with you after the webinar. You can revisit any key points you like or share with colleagues and really dive together in real time. There will be time for questions, but if there's anything pressing you'd like to address in real time as we're going through the presentation, feel free to chat those questions to us in the Q&A box. But we should have a few minutes left at the end of the hour as well. A little bit about Out of the Box if you haven't joined us before, or maybe it's been a while. Out of the Box delivers comprehensive expertise across the full spectrum of financial management. Our services span data migrations and system conversions, outsourced accounting solutions, fractional controller leadership, and specialized support for franchisors and multi-location businesses. By uniting these capabilities under one trusted partner, we ensure organizations benefit from both technical precision and strategic insight. The result is streamlined operations, stronger financial accuracy, and the confidence to unlock growth opportunities at every stage of business. As an Elite QuickBooks Solution Provider, we are able to offer you exclusive discounts and pricing, so please be sure to connect with us before purchasing your QuickBooks solutions. With that, I believe I've covered all of our housekeeping items, so I'm going to hand things off to Matt so he can get started. Matt, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jeanette, and hope you get feeling better.
Thanks.
Yeah, so as you can see, I mean, first of all, thank you for joining us today. A lot of exciting things going on with Intuit Enterprise Suite. So, as Jeanette mentioned, I don't like this to be a lecture. While we're going to cover a lot of information you can see on the screen here, also feel free to chat in questions. We'll do our best to either incorporate those as we're going through, as well as, at the end, we plan to have some time for Q&A. But really excited today to show you what Intuit Enterprise Suite is, what are some of the challenges we're seeing with our customers, and maybe some of the challenges you're facing, as well as then, how do you address those? How do you make things, as we said in the webinar title, how do we make things more efficient? How do we get our employees being able to do more work, more automated work, being more efficient, having to hire less employees to scale the business, but have more efficient business processes to help us scale and grow. And so really, really exciting, all the new tools that we're being able to bring to our customers as a result of Intuit Enterprise Suite. So as was mentioned there, financial control, decision-making, real-time, not only analysis of what's going on, but also what's really exciting is the ability to use AI to comb through your data, for you to teach AI what you want it to do, how you want it to categorize things, or at least surface up suggestions to you. It's getting really exciting how the software AI, along with yourself and out of the box, can really bring you a really solid financial platform to help you with some of the challenges you may be facing. So if we can go to the next slide, let's talk a little bit about why Intuit Enterprise Suite. A lot of customers ask us this: why a new product in the market? And being here for almost 25 years, I've seen this happen. Customers that have been with us year after year, or even newer customers who are growing very rapidly. A lot of different industries: construction, professional services, nonprofit, HVAC, electrical. We can name off a ton of them, but they're starting to grow, they're starting to scale, and then they start to feel like, oh man, I'm hitting the ceiling of QuickBooks or Intuit. What do I do now? And then they start shopping around some ERPs and they start seeing the price tag and they hear that it's going to be 6 to 12 months to implement. And so there was nothing to really serve those rapidly growing customers that were kind of reaching the upper limits of QuickBooks, but again, needed more streamlined data. So if we go to the next slide, that's no longer an issue, and that's really exciting. Instead of getting a new system and having all that data migration and learning, we have something really exciting for you. But what are some of those common, pain points? What are some of those workflows or issues that many of our customers are experiencing, as well as, like I said, it might be some that you're facing in your day-to-day business? Apps have become so popular. Apps can extend functionality. So maybe you want your employees to do something very specific in the field, whether it's something like clock in and out, whether it's write up an estimate for a customer, take a payment, look at service history. There's all sorts of different things. And so customers are starting to use a lot of apps, and apps are great. The downside of apps are, of course, then you have all these data silos. So how do I get all that information from all my apps? How do I get those hours back into my job costing? How do I get those estimates back in my financial software? What does that result in? Several employees spend quite a few hours each and every week on compiling that data in Excel. Of course, we know whenever we're doing things manually, some errors can pop up. And then, as we mentioned, as well as you're growing fast, as you're scaling a large business, you want to understand, especially with the economic uncertainty and all the ups and downs and supply chains and pricing, uh, you know, is the software servicing up insights to, or are you finding out a week, a month, a quarter too late? So how do we get you more on the cutting edge of information, on the cutting edge of data, what's happening real time with your books, and help you to understand what course corrections you need to make? Again, that will recoup that lost productivity and, on down the road on some of these, again, common pain points, as well as continue to scale with you. But so how does, no, you can go to the next slide. That's perfect. So how does Intuit Enterprise Suite kind of address this? This is a bit of an eye chart. And again, several layers here, the business intelligence that we talked about, getting all of your data on one platform, then using AI so that you can, understand, as well as being able to set business goals you've never been able to be set before. Hey, I want to maintain a certain amount of profitability at a business level, as well as each job I take on for a customer, I want to maintain a certain profitability. How does the software analyze that and surface those insights to you if you're starting to get off track? We'll talk about a lot of this in the subsequent slides. If you have more than one location, or even more accurately said, I guess, is if you have more than one EIN, more than one entity, managing multiple entities can be another big challenge, a lot of manual Excel work. Well, the multi-dimension, the multi-user, the multi-entity capabilities, really excited to talk about that, as well as other things around how to make workflows that are very commonly manual. How do we automate those? And so we'll talk about several of these things. But if we go into the next slide, we'll start kind of breaking this down. Go to the next slide, please. We'll start breaking this down just a little bit more in terms of what some of these specific challenges are, and then again, how Intuit Enterprise Suite handles them, as well as then we'll actually go into a demo of the software. I think it's always great to hear a little bit about what the software does, but seeing it in action is the most important part. So as we mentioned, reporting, and these are questions I really like to talk to customers about, and I'm always, quite frankly, surprised at the answers I get. How much of your reporting is manual and done outside of your financial software? How many people, how many employee staff, how many hours, how much are you paying those folks? And it's not that they're doing amazing work, but can we cut that work in half, automate it, and then have them focus on getting that next customer or doing something else to help the business reach some forward-looking goals. Um, again, business insights, having to run multiple reports, figuring out what's changed in your reports, um, not understanding till the quarter's end or the month's ended how you did versus real time through the month or the quarter, having those insights surface to you. We talked a little bit about how much manual Excel work is involved when it comes to multi-entity reporting, exporting all your reports, your profit and loss, your balance sheets, whatever the case may be, filtering, sorting, getting it all put back together, accounting for intercompany sales, intercompany expenses you're going to share. All this, again, just takes a tremendous amount of time. And a lot of business owners are finding, when they're starting to, they're scaling their business, but as fast as they're scaling is as fast as their expenses are growing. That's kind of a telltale sign that, again, how can we leverage software to make you more have less manual work and make you more productive, each and every employee. Project tracking, if you do that service work, or you do those if you're in construction, other things like that, really exciting. Projects were very difficult before. There were no change orders. Estimating often happened outside of the software. Using the right terminology. Whoever does your project management and estimating, they typically would use a different tool, a different terminology than what's inside of the financial software. We've addressed that and quite a few more things. And then, of course, just, the financial planning and analysis, again, instead of going to Excel and having multiple members of the team have to manually log in and make notes, how can you do all that work inside the software, make it available to everyone who has access to it? That way they can comment and update it real time. So if we go to the next slide, here's kind of some of those feature by feature pieces, as well as, like I said, we're just about to get into a demo and go through all of these and show you what they look like real time. But dimensions, basically, this is the ability to have multiple classes on an income or expense line item. So instead of having one class and then subclasses and subclasses and then trying to, get all those, all that granular detail, you now can have dimensions. So we'll talk about that more as we get into the demo, but think of it as having multiple classes on one line item. Multi-company, with a click of a button, being able to see all your data, being able to do different analysis, being able to, if you have 10 companies and you only want to see 2 because 2 have the same investors, again, we'll showcase some features and some functions where, it's no more going to Excel and having to, comb through that data and get it to look the way you need. You can do it right in your software now. Scenario-based planning for your financial planning and analysis. Hey, what if my revenue goes up a few percent? What if my expenses go up a few percent? Being able to understand and instead of just saying, hey, if this year turns out like next year, you can actually do some puts and takes, which is pretty exciting, as well as set those goals and then have the software track it for you. And projects, we talked about that a bit, quite a bit we've done. Really, really excited about projects. It's one of the biggest feature enhancements that we have made to a product in quite some time. So a tremendous amount of work on projects to pull the whole team in and be able to do your project management from end to end right out of the financial software. So with that being said, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So again, why IES? Why a new product? Here's those 3 key themes. But let's go ahead and go to the next slide. I believe this is where the demo starts. So if I can, I'm going to take over the screen share just real quick, and let's do a quick demo. Give me just a moment to share my screen. Awesome. And can you see my screen okay?
Yep, looks good.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let me get there we go. Okay, so this is what Intuit Enterprise Suite looks like. You'll probably notice that it has a fairly similar look and feel to that of QuickBooks Online. We kind of did that on purpose for a couple of reasons. One of the feedback that we have received from customers is, again, that 6 to 12 months to migrate your data. That relearning a whole new financial software, teaching your whole set of employees a whole new set of financial software, where to go and do their day-to-day work, that really slows down a business, especially, again, an expanding, growing business. So what we did is we kind of used the same user interface that's in QuickBooks Online, but you'll notice we've added a few things. Multi-entity for when you have more than one company. And then some of these things look the same, but there's things added like financial planning, as well as dimensions and quite a few other things. But let's do this. Let's start with if you have more than one company. I think this is one of the number one reasons why customers felt like they were kind of outgrowing Intuit and QuickBooks software is I have 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 businesses, doesn't really matter. This can support all the way up to 200, just so you know. So, definitely, as we mentioned, the scale, if you're planning on opening multiple locations and you have one EIN per location, not a problem. What we've done with multi-entity, the first thing is intercompany transactions. This was very manual work before. If you have an expense come in, whether it's marketing, whether it's you're wanting to put together your purchasing power and purchase for all 10 of your businesses, there's all sorts of stuff. But before this was, you would have to remember all of these transactions at the end of the month. You'd have to go and put them in. And then you'd have to remember to do all the debits and credits on each and every business file. What this does is now you can simply do a new intercompany journal. Here you can see all of your different companies. So let's say that the transaction started with my parent company, Keystone Construction. And just real quick, while we're doing this, Intuit Enterprise Suite does use a parent-child relationship. So you would designate one of your businesses as the parent and all the rest would be the child's. But once you've done that, you can see this drop-down list. And so here's 4 of my businesses. I can also see my chart of accounts. So, maybe this was an accounts payable. So I can scroll down and find that. And then it's very simple. You can go through, you can highlight the appropriate accounts. And what's really exciting is once you've highlighted all the different accounts and you click save, that will automatically put in the appropriate debits and credits across all the different businesses. So I'm not going to select the correct accounts. I'm just going to fill this out real quick to show you how this works. So you fill those in. Is it a debit or a credit? You can put in a description. Again, maybe you purchased materials. For all locations, whatever description or piece helps you. And then as we mentioned, those expanded classes or dimensions, if you want to track this to a specific location, division, etc., we'll talk about this a little bit more in just a moment, but you can even break it down by class or dimension. And then again, once you click save, it's going to put in all of those transactions in all 4 companies, both the debits and the credits, balance everything out for you. Okay. But we didn't stop there. This is good. This is an improvement for sure. If you were doing this manually, you'll be happy about this. But one other thing, there are several enhancements above and beyond this. So one other thing is now that you've done those 4 intercompany journals, well, how do you make sure that your income or your expense is not over or understated? That's where manual eliminations come into play. So if you're ever sharing an expense, it can inflate, again, for an expense side, it can inflate your expenses. If it's revenue, you're sharing revenue, it can inflate income. So you can go in and make a manual elimination. Very similar view, but this will help you with, again, keeping your balance sheet, your profit and loss correct. And in fact, here in just a moment, when we show you the roll-up of all your companies, all of your balance sheets, profit and losses, you'll notice a manual eliminations column that calls out any eliminations that are important for those reports. So very simple. Before we move off of multi-company, there's two things I'd like to just add very quickly. Very excited of the fact that doing an intercompany transaction is something that's done at the parent level. Okay, but what if you started a transaction in the child account instead of the parent? Well, there is no intercompany transaction here now that we're logged into the child. But let me show you something really neat that we did, and I'm really excited about this. Logging into the parent account, doing the intercompany journals, it's awesome. It's something you would do more at the end of the month. Okay. If you want to do this real time, intercompany journals real time, what we did is we went into our bank transactions. And here you can see intercompany journals. But basically, as our expenses come in through the bank account, you can actually click on an expense and you can actually split it up between your businesses. Give me one quick second here. Oh, apologize. I clicked on split the expense, not to allocate the expense. Give me 1 second. But what's nice is we've moved it to where now you can actually start to do this at the transaction level. So as your transactions come in real time, you can open those up and then you can split them up. Give me just a quick, there we go. Okay, so down here you see where it says allocate. Apologies, I hadn't clicked into the transaction, but down here on the transaction itself, and again, we're doing this in the child company, we can go ahead and go to allocate. This will pop up, again, that view of all of our businesses. If I needed to split this between 3 businesses, I can click save. You'll notice those 3 businesses now appear on my transaction, which was right from my bank feed view. And same thing as before, I can go through and select on the chart of accounts, where these need to go. I can also select, percentages. So, do I want to do a 33, 33, and 33 split? Or do I want to split it up a different way? 20% goes to the parent company, 40% goes to, the other company, etc. So we've made splitting up transactions very, very simple, very exciting, especially again, when you have multiple companies. It saves all those manual debits and credits. And if you don't want to do it month end through intercompany journals, you can actually go right to your bank feed and do it from there. So next, let's talk about, and I guess let me pause just ever so quickly. I get super excited. I love to talk about this stuff. Let me pause and see if we have any questions. When I'm sharing my screen, it's very hard for me to see the Q&A, but let me know, Jeanette, as we go along. I'll kind of pause at the end of each section. If we have any questions that have come in, super happy to help answer those. If not, we'll just keep moving. Okay.
Sure. There are none currently in the Q&A, but can you talk a little bit about integrations? So does IES integrate the way that QBO does with other front-end systems and desktop?
Yeah, excellent question. Anytime you're looking at a different product, and as we mentioned, a lot of businesses are leveraging apps. So I'm very happy to say that any app that works with QBO will work with Intuit Enterprise Suite. Okay. So all that you need to do is once you migrate to QBO, and I don't even like to use the term migration because it's basically we're going on the back end, and it's almost like if you were to upgrade from Plus to Advanced. Even though it's a quote unquote upgrade, you're not having to do a data migration. Same thing with Intuit Enterprise Suite. When you move from whatever you're currently on Pro, or excuse me, Plus or Advanced up to Intuit Enterprise Suite, it's more just like unlocking. So all your data is there, all your users are there, but all this additional functionality we're talking about will be turned on as well. And then for your apps, to just tie off on that app piece, you'll just want to go back into your apps and put in your username and password to reestablish the connection. That's all you'll have to do. It's kind of a legal thing, when you're upgrading your product, anyway, we can't pull your passwords over and things. We don't even have those to pull over, but so that you just have to reestablish a connection with the app. Takes just a few seconds and you're good to go. Okay. So a few more things just really quickly. Again, for multi-entity, we have been talking about sharing expenses. What's super exciting though, I think, is the reporting. So again, we have 10 companies. How do we really get in and see what's going on? What's the insights? What are we learning? Where are we doing well? Where could we be doing better across all of our companies? So this, as it says here, is a consolidated profit and loss. If you want to see what companies this is showing for, right now, all of my companies are selected. Okay. But as we mentioned earlier, if you have investors in, 3 of the 8, you can just step off. And again, literally in 2 seconds, now you have that information. If you want to just see this for one company, again, you can step off and you got it. What's nice as well is if you want to show this and kind of break it out with your different companies as headers. Again, this used to take you going to Excel, running the profit and loss 4 different times. Now, again, you can do all this in here. You can see 4 different companies. And then as we mentioned about the eliminations, if you're sharing any expenses, your eliminations will show up in your totals. So a tremendous amount of work. I mean, and asking customers how many employees and how much time this takes them in a month, it's staggering, and I would ask you the same thing, how many employees help to consolidate data? How accurate do you feel it is? And, hey, if we could automate this, what would you do with that extra time that you get back? What other business growth opportunities could those employees focus on versus all the manual consolidation work? We don't stop there though. We have not only profit and loss, we have balance sheet, we have quite a few other reports like AR aging reports, but they'll all be with the same type of functionality and view. So again, we're just scratching the surface here. I'm going to keep moving for the sake of time. But, if you want to see more about this and how this would help your business, that's what we're here to do. Kind of show you a little bit about the software, and then we can give you a personalized demo if this looks like something that could help you out. So in addition to multi-entity, let's talk about dimensions real quick. So you'll see dimensions here. There's a number of ways you can use dimensions. Think about these like cost centers. Really, really helpful. Like for instance, construction has been using these to define different types of work and different types of services they do. Before, you only were limited to being able to do one particular type of work or service on a line item, but it may actually, there may be 2 or 3 things going on. So instead of using classes and subclasses and subclasses, you can get much more detailed insights by setting up these profit centers. And sometimes when you offer a service, it may be more than one profit center that's affected. So to show you what that looks like, we'll go to sales here. And let's create an invoice. And when we go to the product or service, you'll notice here that all these different, used to be you only had one class. That was it, one drop down. Now you'll notice there's quite a few more. So when you get into an Enterprise Suite, just a note here, your original class will come over, so you don't lose that work. That'll still be there for reporting. And then you can add up to 4 additional classes. That expands by 15 more. You can go all the way up to 20 with your original class, your 3 additional dimensions, and you can add up to 15 more to have a total of 20 if you need it. And what that looks like is now, maybe I want to track whether this is in, which location, which region of the US I'm doing this work in. And then maybe what type of division if I offer multiple different services. And then what exactly am I doing? What type of customer is it? What type of products and services? Again, what cost centers, am I doing? So there's a tremendous amount of data now, a lot of detail. And what this all adds up to is now you can see, hey, when I'm doing work for a government customer or a residential customer or a commercial customer, and I'm offering this type of service, and I'm also doing these other, again, if I'm a plumber, we'll just use that, hey, if I go and I do plumbing work, am I making more money when I do, kitchen work, bathroom work, whatever the case may be, whole house work, cleaning out the plumbing system. There's it's been really exciting to see customers unlock and understand, and especially if you have more than one location. Why is my plumbing work in this low, business 1 at a 20% profit, and in business 3 it's at a 22% profit? What do I do to get all my businesses at 22% profit? So you'll start noticing new little trends and patterns, and learning from your other locations and seeing how to maximize your profitability. Okay. Let's talk about just a few more things. One other thing we wanted to talk about is projects. Again, this is one of the pieces where we have made tremendous updates. Another thing that I'll mention is some of you on here may be some of our longtime desktop customers. The things that I'm showing you today, multi-entity rollup, intercompany journals, eliminations, all this project work I'm about to show you, as well as the financial planning analysis we're about to show you, it's really exciting to me. All of our other products used to compete with our desktop enterprise. It's really exciting to me to see now we actually have a product in the cloud that in many ways is doing better than our desktop enterprise. And projects is really one of those areas, again, where it shines, in addition to the multi-entity and sharing expenses. There's so much here we could spend a whole hour on projects. So I would encourage you, if you have any customers, or if you're a customer who's doing projects, talk to us about this. Estimates, setting up tasks, setting up project management, setting up reporting, setting up profitability, tracking everything back to the project, phase billing. It's all in there. Change orders now. That was one of the biggest Achilles heels of our projects, is not having change orders, and we've addressed all that. So what does that look like? Now, when you click into a project, every project starts with a project estimate. Again, you can either create that in our software or import it from your project estimating software. You can set to, from that estimate, track your estimate versus actuals. Again, you can set a project profitability goal and have the software analyze it for you to let you know if your labor, materials, etc., are getting you to that goal, or you're starting to fall behind. Tasks, this is kind of cool. If every project you kick off, hey, I need to do draft work, blueprint work. I need to go do a site inspection. I need to go start permits. You can set up these tasks that every time you kick off a job, it'll let the rest of the team know, hey, here's all the things we need to go do for this new project or new job that we're bringing on board, this customer we're working with. Of course, obviously transactions, you'll be able to see all of the payroll hours, the 1099 work, as well as any other expenses for materials. And then you start getting into project reports, profitability. And then some of the ones, like I said, that were missing, work in progress. This one's been asked for a long time. Super happy we have this now. Of course, the estimates versus actuals. So many different things here. Um, project statuses. You can also set up milestone billing. So as your projects are going through and you're hitting different things, again, if you're a contractor, if you get to dry in and now you need to, get that next payment, all of those things have been added. And then what I'm most excited about is the change log. When you start from an estimate, any changes that happen are tracked in this change log. And let me go to one that we've been working with a bit more and see if I can find one that has a few changes. Basically, this is an audit trail for your project. So anytime you record expenses, materials, take payments, all that's going to add up into your change log. And it really helps at the end of the project. There's always a little bit of discrepancy, especially if there's been changes along the way. And this really helps document days, times, who authorized, all that good stuff. So that's just a little bit about our projects. Again, a ton more that we can dive into here, but really excited about that. Before we move into financial planning and analysis, Jeanette, pause me if there's any questions. If there's not, we'll go ahead and move into this last little piece here.
There aren't, but I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Please.
Any green flags you notice in businesses that are ready to make the jump to IES? Like
Yeah.
3 signs that somebody might need IES for their financial management.
Yeah, customers that most commonly fall into this, where they start to see the need of Intuit Enterprise Suite, is when they're approaching $1 million a year business. Okay. Where the need becomes very acute is 2 million plus. Okay. We have businesses at 50, 100 million. Really the scale for IES is from about 2.5 to 100 million. Okay, is really what we can handle in terms of customer size. Where we see the need a little bit at that 1 million, but typically up to 2 million from the majority of customers we've talked to. That's where these become very pronounced. And then, like I said, you'll have some small but mighty businesses who are 10, 20 million, and they're running it with 15, 20 employees. It's really quite impressive. And then when they get into an enterprise suite, super exciting. So to answer your question, Jeanette, one would be revenue. But I think the other biggest one is how much manual work, how many employees are doing that manual work, how much time is it taking. If you have multiple employees spending multiple hours a week and a month doing consolidation of data, custom reporting, getting data silos back in, all those are big indicators that Intuit Enterprise Suite can benefit you.
Gotcha. Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So very quickly on financial planning and analysis, this is where, I'll talk about kind of what are some things where this is similar to QBO, and then what are some things that have been added net new. So being able to do a forecast, again, Plus and Advanced can do that. So what's different in here? Well, you'll notice this dotted line. This is actually using AI and projecting out what is going to happen with your forecast. Okay, so that's an exciting addition. But also, in addition to that, is the ability to, when you want to create a forecast before, we only could do a forecast based on your profit and loss. And this will be the case in Plus and Advanced. What's really exciting about Intuit Enterprise Suite is it does a 3-prong forecast. It not only pulls in your profit and loss, but also your balance sheet and your statement of cash flow. The problem was when we only had this limited to profit and loss, it would miss some, it would get like the majority, 90% of your data, but it would miss some of your data. Now that we do a forecast based off of all 3, we make sure we don't miss any important data. The other nice thing too that we talked about at the outset, scenario planning. If you want to set up some rules to apply to your forecast. Here's where you can do those what if scenarios. So, income, I know my income because of some new clients I'm going to, get this year is going to increase by 10%. Okay, so I'm going to bake that into my forecast so I can go ahead and click apply. And then, maybe my expenses, the next thing I know that my expenses are going to go up. Talk to my vendors for the next fiscal year. Those are going to go up by 4%. Okay. So in addition to your real financial data that it's pulling into the forecast, you can also work with puts and takes, either increases or decreases across quite a few different parts of your financial statements. This can all roll up to give you a really detailed forecast. And you can do more than one of these if you want. You could do one like, hey, here's best case scenario, what we think is going to happen. Pretty sure is going to happen, 80, 90% sure is going to happen. But if we work really hard, I'm 50% sure we can get to this revenue goal. So you could do more than one of these, which is exciting. The other thing that I'll show you here, lastly, around financial planning and analysis is setting goals. And really, really important. Again, you can set a goal both at a project level, so an individual customer job you're doing, or you can set it at the business level. So maybe you want to keep your revenue, maybe your goal is to get $2 million in revenue. Maybe right now you're at 1, the next year's goal is 2. You can put that on here. Maybe you want to keep your expenses at a certain either percent or amount. You can put that on here. Why do you want to put all these goals? Why do you want to create these? Because then the software will actually analyze it. And as you can see here, this is saying we're at risk. You can actually click into this and you can understand, why you're at risk, what's going on is expenses, labor, different things going up, going down. The software can comb through and help you, again, alert you to those insights and let you know what you need to do to make those small course corrections so you're ahead of things before the month or the quarter is over. Okay, so a lot of exciting things between multi-entity management, reporting, AI, financial planning, projects. So that was the demo here. Again, we've only scratched the surface. But would love more questions. If you have any questions, Jeanette, or if our audience has any more questions. If not, I would like to go to those 2 slides that kind of talk about the customer statistics back in the deck. I wanted to share those out. I think the audience will appreciate those. So I think it's quite a bit. I think it's slide 21 or 22. Oh, actually, you know what? Can you back up just one more slide? Back up one more slide and one more slide. Sorry. Yeah, one last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. What industries does Intuit Enterprise Suite work really well out of the box? And then which ones do you want to maybe think about a third-party add-on? So as we've kind of hit home, as you can see from the feature sets, construction, we can pretty much handle that out of the box. I mean, there is some, no pun intended, but there is some, there is some add-ons, reasons you may want to add something for construction, but again, really excited that we can handle most construction scenarios. Professional services, when you're doing those different types of billable rates, when you're doing the different types of, retainers and all sorts of things. So whether you're doing blueprints, whether you're a legal firm, etc., works really, really good for professional services and working with clients and projects, etc. And even nonprofits, our larger nonprofits are getting really excited about all the features mentioned above. You wouldn't think of nonprofits using projects, but they actually have been leveraging them quite well for fundraising events. So they set up a fundraising event as a project, then they can track hey, what's all the money we spent on maybe things that we're going to do for a silent auction, money we spent on food, money we spent on renting the facility, etc. As well as dimensions are really key for nonprofits to get to true fund accounting, partially, restricted, non-restricted, and partially restricted funds. Dimensions, that's an excellent use case for dimensions and really helps them make sure that they're spending their money correct by how that money's been donated to them. And then industries where you'll want to consider a third party on is the manufacturing wholesale. Inventory and Intuit Enterprise Suite is fairly standard and straightforward. Item description, quantity on hand, reorder point, vendor who supplies it, things like that. Simple cost of goods sold, but it doesn't do any of, as it mentions here, it doesn't do manufacturing, raw to finished goods. It doesn't do pick, pack, and ship or multi-warehouse management, bin location tracking, all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for that, it's not that Intuit Enterprise Suite can't help you, but typically you'll want to get one of those inventory add-ons. Okay. So that being said, let's go into those last couple slides about some customer follow me homes, some marketing research. This product's been out about 14 months. We've already sold several thousand units of this. And so it's been nice to go back and talk to customers about like, what are they seeing? When we talk about all the things we just talked about, hey, you got 3-4 employees, they're doing all this manual work in Excel, trying to understand what's going on. What does this really mean in terms of time, in terms of dollars, in terms of what Intuit Enterprise Suite will do for you? And some really powerful statistics here. That real-time data, AI surfacing those insights, workflow automation, so automatically reminding your customers they owe you money versus a person picking up the phone or manually sending out emails, having the software automatically chase your accounts receivable. 193,000, really exciting. And these aren't fake numbers. I mean, when I talk to customers and ask them, and I would encourage you to do the same thing. How many of my employees are doing manual work that could be automated? What do I pay them an hour? Even factor it on the lower case, multiply that up by month, by year. It's really staggering the amount of, I most commonly I get between 20 and 30 hours a month are spent on manual Excel and report work. That's a sizable amount, and that's per month. You multiply that out over a year. How do we free that up? How do we get the software automating that for you so you can continue to work on growth in your next customer? The projects, work we did, quite a few other things. I don't need to read this to you because you can see it, but if we go to the next one, the financial efficiency, as it says there, and managing all your entities on one platform. Again, that was everything we were showing you about our multi-entity, the ability to take 8 companies, just select 2 for investors, select all 8, break it out by columns. Again, things that used to take hours are now automated. The ability to set up dimensions so that you're not having to export stuff to Excel and try to combine multiple reports. All those profit centers, all those drop downs on your line items now mean that when you go to do reporting, every single one of those dimensions is a searchable field. You can group those. You can do all sorts of things to filter reports. And again, what it adds up to is now just in a few seconds and just a few clicks, you have your reports customized the way you need them, and you eliminate all that manual work. So a lot here to take in, but again, 299% ROI in 3 years. That's something that excites me, and I hope it excites you too. And we would love to talk with you about how Intuit Enterprise Suite can benefit you. So if you see anything here that looks interesting, again, let us know. We're happy to jump on a call with you. We're happy to answer questions. We're happy to do a demo more specific to what you have going on in your personal business. and we would love to see how Intuit Enterprise Suite could help you. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Jeanette.
Thanks, Matt. Well, I'll tell you, 300% ROI over 3 years definitely interests me. That is an incredible number. Um, it doesn't look like we have any questions in the chat at the moment. We'll give it a couple more minutes, but like Matt said, if you want to get started with a demo of IES, Matt, can they contact us for that?
Yeah, they can reach out to you guys. I'm there to support. I can help lead the discovery. I can help do the demo. We've done dozens and dozens of these, well over 100, and it's again. So we've done these with desktop customers on Enterprise, wanting to compare desktop Enterprise to Intuit Enterprise Suite. We've done these with customers on 3 or 4 different QBOs. How would this work if we consolidated all of this? Yeah. So whatever the scenario is, yeah, reach out to Out of the Box. They can tap me on the shoulder. You have a whole team of people here to help.
100%. Jen can get you started with a demo of IES and a review of your files. Just feel free to reach out to her by way of the contact info here on the screen. Matt, thank you so much for your time. This was a wonderful presentation. Learned a lot about IES. It's a powerful solution. So thanks for joining us today. Thank you to our attendees, and I'll be shooting out the recording and the slides to you later today. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank you.